Alright guys, in this video I want to share with you some tips and tricks about meditation that I learned in yoga. I know this isn't my normal content, and the only reason I'm sharing with you is I had a kind of a breakthrough this weekend with meditation, mainly because I'm updating my website, and I sent like 20 emails back and forth with IT, and instead of getting like stressed out and annoyed about it, I decided to meditate. And so even today, I probably meditated more today than I have in the past year on any day. So I wanted to share with you what I learned with it. And like I said, hopefully the website's up and y'all can check it out. But I'll leave the website in the comments if y'all can check it out. So anyways, I want to give you a quick backstory about myself. 3 years ago, I was struggling emotionally, mentally, and financially. I didn't tell anybody, but I was having suicidal thoughts. And I told my friend, obviously what I could tell her. She recommended me to go to a yoga retreat. And so I went, and one of the things about it was they had 1 hour a day at the beginning of every day for meditating. And I remember at first, I was just sitting there like, is anyone meditating? Like, I was just sitting there quietly because there's like 50 of us in a room, and I'm just like, what are y'all thinking about? Like, what's going on here? Like, why are we just standing here? Because it was an hour, and like I wasn't used to meditating, and so I struggled at the beginning. And so, but one of the things they taught us is, who is it that is thinking? And I'm like, what does that even mean? When I first saw that, and they had signs up everywhere, I'm like, who is it that is thinking? It's like, it's me. I'm the one thinking. And so I remember, and they're teaching us like the background of what that actually means, and and then one day I remember it was just like this explosion in my head, and I was like, oh my God, that's not me thinking, that's somebody else. And I remember it was like a Wizard of the Oz moment where I got to peek behind the curtain, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's not you, that's not me. It's like, it was like life changing. And from that moment, I was able to just really separate myself from my negative thoughts, from my positive thoughts. And it was like I could have a conversation with my subconscious sometimes. Now, obviously, not a direct conversation with my subconscious. That'd be great, because then I could change everything about myself. But at least a borderline conversation where I could figure out what I was thinking about, why I was thinking it, or at least, worst case scenario, at least not think negative thoughts. So that was the thing they taught us, is you are not your thoughts. And that to me was a game changer, because it really helped me out. Like I said, I was struggling with my thoughts, and the thing you need to realize is what you resist persists. So if you're arguing with somebody, you ever notice when you argue with somebody, they argue back, like, most of the time, right? And it's like, even if they're like, whatever you say, then like, what'd you say? And so, I mean, people love to argue. And one of my favorite quotes is, never wrestle with a pig. It's like, you both get dirty, but the pig likes it. And that's what happens when you argue with people. They love to argue. And so that's how I was with my negative thoughts. I was like, I'm not worthless, you're worthless, or whatever it was that day, So just separating myself from my thoughts was amazing. So I highly recommend it. And now I'm going to teach you some tips and tricks, is what I'm going to say, and breathing. And what really helped me was actually breathing exercises. So at another yoga studio, and this is actually one here in Playa, they taught us the breath of fire, I think that's what it's called, and he didn't really go into all the details. And guys, I just want to say, first of all, this is not a tutorial. This is mainly just to kind of get the information out there and help you if I can. But definitely check out this information. If you, I'll leave some information, but like I said, I don't know enough about the breath of fire one. It's basically where you breathe out and you go. Like I said, I didn't do the startup. Like, they make us like take a bunch of breaths in, and then they make us do those like short breaths out. So like it's like that. But look into it yourself. I mean, go Google it, go YouTube it. Highly recommend it. The other breathing technique that's helped me recently is the Wim Hof method. I learned that about a year, maybe 2 ago. He does a lot of good. Definitely check him out. He has a lot of good tutorials and information. I've listened to his meditation at least like 50 times, and it's the opposite. On his, you're breathing all the way in, so you're just filling your entire lungs, your stomach, your basically to the top of your head with oxygen, and then you're doing that 30 times in a row. And and like I said, this is not a tutorial. Please go look it up. It'll help you out, especially if you're struggling with this. Definitely check him out. Another person I definitely recommend is Joe Dispenza. He's got tons of good guided meditation. I recommend every one of his audiobooks. I'll leave a link for some of those. I mean, he's got some amazing work. Check it out. That's kind of, I started with him about 3 years ago too. He's got great guided meditation. He's got 2 great books. Becoming Supernatural, I think. I should have written these down, but I didn't. But definitely check him out. I'll leave some links for you. And then the fourth person I recommend to check out is Abraham Hicks. Her style of meditation is honestly the hardest, but she does it so like simply and easy to do, and kind of breaks it down. And she's got tons of content online, and I wish I could steer you in the right direction of which video explains her meditation style the best, but you're just gonna have to go do that yourself. I'm sorry guys, but it's definitely worth the effort you're putting in. So I really just want you to expand your mind on what other forms of meditation, like a couple forms of running. If you're running, and Joe Dispenza talks about this, if you're running, your mind is focused. You're not thinking about your stock portfolio, you're not thinking about work, you're not thinking about kids, you're running. I mean, you might have one of those things running in the background, and that's kind of when I run. I typically have one thought going on in my background. Sometimes it might be music, sometimes it might be whatever, and I typically have like one epiphany every time I run. I don't really run for health. I don't even enjoy running, but I feel like every time I run, I feel so much better when I'm done. And guys, I struggle to run. I'm like, oh, I don't want to run today. Then when I finally get out there, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm really glad I ran today. So I definitely recommend that. Another one is walking. Walking meditation is awesome. I've been doing that. That was probably one of my first loves of meditation, is walking meditation. It's just zoning out and just going for a walk. There's so many psychologists, I almost said philanthropists, psychoanalysis, lots of different people that have gotten so many benefits from walking. So you don't need to be in shape. You don't need to be a master yogi. You can just go take a walk today, and it'll definitely help you feel better. Just like I said, just kind of get all that mental fog out of your system. I highly recommend it. Other forms are simple things like mindful eating. I mean, there's tons. I could literally go on all day. For me, when I like to lift heavy weights, because when you're lifting heavy weights, you're not thinking about anything else but getting this weight safely up and safely down, because you don't want to injure yourself. And like I said, I do heavy weights just because I want to be like, girl, like nothing else matters for that couple seconds. So those are all just different things like to help you with it. But now I want to help you with the thing I learned this weekend, and I don't even know who said it. I think I just put all the pieces together. But what helps me is if I make a game out of it. If I make a game out of anything, it's just more enjoyable. I get motivated to do it. And that's what I've been doing this weekend. And that's what helped me out. And that's why I decided to make this video. And Abraham Hicks talks about and before I get into how I play the game or whatever, one of the things Abraham Hicks talks about is just like, have you ever been speaking to somebody and lost focus? Like you're talking to them and they're just like, oh, going on, and you're sitting there like, when is this person gonna finish? Then they ask you a question and you're just like, like what have we been talking about here? And so that's what meditation. If you've ever done that, then you know how to meditate, meaning just getting back to having to clear your mind, but you might start thinking about other things. It's like, no, clear your mind. Come back to focus, focus on nothing. And she recommends like a sound, whether it's like the air conditioner or using an app or a fan. That's what I use. I have the fan on right now. I don't know if y'all can hear it. Maybe you can, who knows. But I like to listen to the fan, and that helps me out. But back to the game. The game is every time you refocus, you win. And so it's like, so instead of getting beating down, you know what I'm trying to say? Instead of beating yourself up or getting down on yourself, every time you drift away and you catch yourself, you just won. That's a point or whatever you want to do. Don't do a point system because you'll probably get distracted. Or you can count. Oh, I forgot that's another form of meditation, counting. Literally going 1 to 100. Most people can't count 1 to 100 because they get sidetracked. They get, and if you can't, go ahead, try that out. I'd love to hear in the comments. If you can go from 1 to 100 without stopping, like that's pretty good. I guarantee you, I don't know what the percentage is, but a huge majority of people cannot count to 100 without getting sidetracked. So when you refocus and you know, get your mind together, I remember one time I had a yoga teacher, and this is the yoga teacher in Playa, and it was the girl, not the guy. Anyways, she asked me after class, she was like, oh, how was it? And I was like, good. And then I go, but the meditation, I only got about 5 seconds of I forget what she called it. Did you get your, I forget what she said. She said like, did you have any moments of silence or something like that? The moments of zen or clarity. I don't remember exactly what her wording was, and I should have written that down. But I said, yeah, I had about 5 seconds. And she goes, that's good. She goes, most people live their whole life and they never have 5 seconds of silence. That was the word, silence. And I was like, I never thought about it. And I was exaggerating. I probably only had about 2 or 3 seconds of silence. But every time you get back to that silence where your brain is just in a complete stillness too, that's another word to look for, or another feeling to look for, zen, or but every time you get to that, every time you go away from that, you come back to it, you win a point or whatever you want to call it. But guys, definitely try these out for yourselves. A couple tips I have is just start small. You know, you'll be able to tell you had a good meditation when you don't look at that timer, and that's happened to me. Or sometimes it's a bad meditation too. If you just daydream the whole time and your brain goes off, you're, oh crap, the time is over. But you know, but I know for myself, when I'm looking at my timer to see how much time's left, that's not a good meditation. But just keep working on it. If you want to, I remember one time I started at 2 minutes. Right now I'm trying to build up, so I'm going a little bit longer. But I think even Abraham Hicks says don't even go over 15 if you can't focus that whole 15 minutes. So go small, don't go an hour. Like I mean, I don't want to say we were forced to do it, but that's how long our class was. You know, start small, do 5 minutes, do 3 minutes, do 15 minutes, whatever helps you, whatever you feel comfortable doing. If you only got a couple minutes before you got to go into a meeting, definitely do it then. Or if you're waiting, like for me, like I said, I've been waiting on emails back and forth. So instead of getting stressed out, yeah, I would just meditate. And I've done it like literally like, I don't know, this weekend, I want to say 10, but it's probably only been about 5 times, but that's still pretty good for me. Like I don't think I've ever meditated 5 times in one weekend. And a couple other forms of meditation I forgot to mention are imagination meditation. That's what I call it. Some people may call it like manifestation meditation. Joe Dispenza talks about that, or doesn't talk about it in that particular way, but that's one of the things he teaches you. So definitely check him out. Like I said, I'll leave as much links as I can for y'all, as much information as I can for y'all. But other than that, thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any tips or tricks for us, please share them. I'd greatly appreciate it. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. All right, bye.